Welcome back to another episode of Past Friday. Today I'm here with Tuấn Anh, and we're very happy to be discussing how it's like to live a purposeful life and how to make the turn toward a life that you really love.
I'm very honored to be invited by Kim, whom I'm lucky to work with briefly, but then I've also followed her on her social media journey. My name is Tuấn Anh, and I consider myself right now a full-time Latin dancer in Saigon. I am here on Kim's talk show to share about my journey when I finally realized that dancing becomes an important part of my life, and also hoping to make people more aware of their passion, how it's related to your work-life balance. So it's mental health and breaking all this stigma, especially for men.
I've been seeing your sharing on your Facebook for, I don't know, more than a year now. And I'm also honored that I get to witness some very personal sharing that you put on your Facebook page, and that helps me to somewhat visualize the journey that you've been through, because you did share some up and downs on your journey, and it really helped me to see that somebody out there is also trying to do something meaningful with their life, trying to make a purposeful change, and also overcoming their struggle. And it's really not just me.
Yep, when you keep running and you keep going, you feel like you hit a dead end and you could get stuck in there, or you have to dig yourself out of it. So I chose to take myself out of it. And so far, it's been a very good decision. I believe that I'm halfway, like, this is still a progress. This is a long journey. It's not just a destination from A to B. I'm still on that journey.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like we've reached a destination and everything is figured out, right? For me, I feel very grateful to see that there is a turn, and this turn is taking me to a whole new adventure, and the end is still far away for me, but this journey is so much more interesting and so much more rewarding and joyful as well.
Exactly. So it's more like a turn to me. So it might be a turn, or might be not, but I feel like I have to even reach a dead end and reach a wall, and I literally have to break the hole and find a new path. Otherwise, I would keep getting stuck in there and keep wandering and just not feeling like at my best. I'm happy that I have a passion. I believe everybody has a passion. I'm just super happy that I realized my passion, and that's my guiding star for me to go towards that path when I'm stuck. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. I really didn't expect that you would use that exact word, the guiding star. Can you tell me a little bit more about the life you had before, and after you take the turn, how is that turning out for you?
Sure. So I've been having the passion for actually over 10 years with that, but it's the last 10 years always been a passion. I'm just doing other stuff, basically corporate life, business company, and working in different fields, including finance, tourism, and business consulting, which is good. I believe I did a good job, but I feel like something really missing. And I keep my passion as a passion and try to make some money out of it as a part-time job. And that's been doing pretty well. But then there's always something missing in my life in general. There's always a struggle, because I keep my passion as a passion because I use that as a safe haven, like an escape place for me. Whenever my full-time work, my life gets stressful, I retreat into my safe haven or my comfort zone of art. For me, it's dancing. So I dance to forget about my problems, and I dance just to release the stress. So I've been thinking a lot about maybe I should just focus on dancing, but then what happens if my safe haven becomes like a stressful place? Because when it comes to making it my full-time career, then the finance aspect comes in, and then and since it's art, it requires a lot of inspiration. So when you turn something artsy into a full-time stuff and you always have to think about it, it's very easy to kill inspiration, I believe. Who's trying to pursue a career in art in general, they don't want to become a sellout. They don't want the stuff to be commercial. So they lose all the creativity, and they're just putting it out there, mediocre stuff just for the money. That's the last things I would want to do with my dancing. So for a long time, I'm trying to keep it just as a hobby, so try not to put it out there. But I've been going through life hiding it in shadow, and there's always something missing. With a few turns in life, with my full-time job, my career is not going very well, and all the stress, I just decided I've tried different things already, and the only thing I haven't tried is like to expose myself to be vulnerable with my passion. So I've always played safe, always have a safety net, and I've tried everything, and I did not feel fulfilled. There's only one last option, like one last resort. If it doesn't work, then I don't know what else. So just like screw it, just see if it works. And so far, it's been working. Finger crossed.
Finger crossed, yes.
That's a quick summary of how I decide to try to get a bit exposed and be more vulnerable with my art.
I guess a lot of people, including me, can relate to the feeling of missing out on something.
Yeah.
Like everything is going well according to the norms, right? Having a
Yeah,
stable
with your
job.
job and
Yeah.
with your parents and then with your relatives, and especially Vietnamese people were like, what are you doing? Are you having a nice office job and all of that?
Especially even if it's going well, if you are getting a promotion or if you're making more money than last year or
Yep.
moving to a bigger company or something like that, then it seems
Yes.
like this should be the life, right? So at first, did you feel that it was your life that had something wrong when you noticed that there's something missing? How did it first emerge for you?
Yeah, before that, I'm also getting into peer pressure, especially from parents, my relatives, being put into the normal box of being successful, having a full-time job, getting paid, getting promoted, and doing this business, that business, and everything else. So I kind of disregard the missing feeling. But imagine that you just have like a dirty house. Instead of actually cleaning and working on it, you just sweep all of the dirt under the rug. And until one day the dirt pile up and you can't really hide it anymore. So I'm like, yes, that's feeling of missing. It's first that feeling of missing is way too much. I tried to overlook all the problem and it's piling up. So I was not really happy at all. And I did actually share it. I actually need help, like medication for me. That's the breaking point. That's a part of like, oh, dirt piled up, and I see that this is not a sustainable way moving forward.
Yeah, you remind me of the post where you share on your Facebook about getting medication for your mental health. And I really admire that courage to step out into the light and share that on your Facebook. I believe many people also supported you on that, right?
I feel like super happy and grateful. The reason why I did that was I really just don't want to say, hey, people, I'm not well and please pay attention to me. But because I have people I'm close with who struggle a lot with mental health, and recently they lost the battle. So that's why I just want to shed some light on that. I mean, that's kind of like a shock because they always kept it inside themselves. Clearly, there's a lot of stigma, like, oh, you've taken medication, so you're literally crazy.
Yeah.
That person is like as normal as everyone else I've met until I heard the news that they lost the battle. Yeah, which is a huge shocking.
Yeah.
So I just want to hope people normalize it. Then when I realized that, I also start to have my mental health issues. Of course, I'm glad that I have people that share and support and also encourage me to just look for professional help. So this is the way I pay it forward, making people realize that mental health is as important as physical health. And sometimes it's even more important because physical health is like right there. If your body in pain, you start coughing and feeling dizzy or headache, you know it. But mental health, you really don't. At one point, you're convinced you are well, but you're not. So it could lead to a very wrong path if it keeps going that way.
Yeah, that was a really, really brave act. And as you just said, behind that was such a conscious intention, right? Because I don't believe in a perfect life or a perfect success where you were born at the finish line. Everything you do is a huge success and unicorn and life is pinky. We all have lights and darkness, but a lot of us only show the lights. And I've also been there where I feel extremely low and depressed, and I've never had the courage to publicly share that I'm not okay. I think this happened to many people too. When we look around and everyone, especially on social media, seems to have such a good life and they seem to be progressing and just so positive, and we don't want to be like the black duck in the I think I lost this analogy. Okay, but it's so important to just come out and own it. You did it with such a conscious intention in order to educate people or inspire people to do the same. But even without that, it's a very inspiring act because people see that and know that, okay, it's all right to not be okay, and it's important to ask for help, right?
Yeah, that's my purpose. And I mean, that's the very first step. Of course, for me, medication is to help. It's not a solution. It's temporary. So apart from getting professional help, is a turning point where I realized that I need to change the way I live, because I'm lucky enough to read more about mental health and I know where the issues come from. A lot of people know where the issues from, but they don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to work on it. That's also my message to people as well. So need a head start and share that, get professional help. They can help you to draw a map to get out of the maze. Imagine like you get stuck in a traffic jam, you know there's a traffic jam over there, you don't know how to get out. So you need Google Maps or whatever, just like draw you a different, better path to get out of it. So a lot of people know they're stuck in a traffic jam, like I know, but they don't know the way. And that way, I just want to encourage people just to seek for professional help. In the past, I was like, oh, I know the issues, it's fine. Since I know where the problems start, then I can solve it. Nope. Nope. Yeah, a lot of people get stuck in that part. They know the problems, but they cannot solve it.
And even because, as you said, the stigma around it, right? Like some people, or myself in the past, feel like they just don't want to admit that they need a professional help, especially clinical help.
Yeah,
And
especially when you're a male, I guess, especially in the Asian society, and then they just like, man up,
yeah.
do it, man up.
Oh gosh. Yeah. The most challenged advice there are.
Yeah.
Mm,
Like, man up, be a
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wish a lot of people can hear the thoughts that you've just shared. Because I know that some of my friends are also seeing therapists and also struggling, but they're trying to hide that and they try to get well as quick as possible so that they can go back out there and display a positive side to the world and pretend like nothing happened. So how is your current life right now and how does that make you feel?
My current life right now actually feels really good. I make a change, and it's literally the part when it's like, screw it, I've tried everything. I know what caused all this depression, pressure, and it's definitely not sustainable, not healthy in the long run. So either I have to make a change or I just suck it up and keep getting medication, which is not what I was hoping to do. So just take a leap of faith. But also I came up with some plan B. So starting in 2022, I've already been going back into teaching and trying to start a career in dancing as a part-time. So let's say my advice to people, if you have a passion and you want to live on that, don't just go full on, don't just go 100% into it. Always make it like a part-time first, test the water. For me, I keep it as a part-time for almost over 10 months to build a good foundation, a base, in my case, like students and testing what style, what they want, and how can I attract the students. Of course, when I first started, a lot of people are just like, oh, there's a new instructor in town. And I'm quite familiar with the dance community because before becoming an instructor, I've also been dancing. So the community know who I am. So when we start teaching, and people were curious and people signed up. That's why when I started, it started out really well, but then there's a part when they're filtering. So people filter out and new people coming in. It took me months to finally shape the way I teach. And of course, when I first started out, I made a lot of mistakes in instructing and in teaching people as well. So you learn from your mistakes, you start to filter out the people who share the same philosophy with you. After 10 months, I'm more or less confident to say that now I shape my path and know the way to move forward from there. Also starting to have permanent students who love the way I teach, enjoy the way I teach dancing, and then they stuck with me throughout the classes. That's when I believe that I start to have a base and I can build up from there. To be able to do that, I keep it as a hobby. So at least I don't have to worry much about the financial part because at that time I still had a full-time job that could cover that part. So at least I release the financial stress on that part so I can have more time to figure out and to shape the way I want to move forward rather than jump 100% into dancing without any backup plan. At first in the beginning, that would be quite stressful and then the whole thing could crumble while I'm figuring out. That's my advice for people who want to make a career change and pursuing your passion. Just don't go like head on in the beginning. Yeah, slowly test the water, put one finger first and then the next one and the next one until you believe that you can see that you start to see a foundation is forming. You can make the transition.
That's not only a very smart advice, but also that shows a lot of courage and resilience, right? Because you don't want to just flip the table and I'm just going to pursue my passion and I don't care whatever happens.
I know at least 2 people already just gave up their passion, which is a shame because they started like head on 100% into the passion without a safety net like that. So when things didn't work out, they struggle a lot financially and also need to figure out a lot of things at the same time. So they broke down and they lost the passion. And of course, people can always go back to a full-time job, but at the same time, they stopped. Literally, their dreams were crushed and then they lost faith in the passion. So they stopped dancing or painting or like that. So that's a case I know.
Yeah. So it was still your full-time job that you had before, but now becomes a part-time job? Or did you do some freelance project on the side? Or how is it for you?
I'm switching things. So my full-time become part-time and my part-time becomes full-time. Of course, when you run the business, it's different. When you're an employee, you have a fixed salary, you don't really have to worry. But suddenly now you become the business, then you have to consider, this is a perfect example. So right now, this TED, people are not in the mood of learning, working. People have to focus on buying things, preparing for TED, taking care of their families and going back to their hometown. So since people like that, we don't have that many students, these are things you have to anticipate. For me, I'm still keeping a freelance, like a part-time thing, so to help myself to cover some of financial aspect. That's one thing people have to consider when they jump to doing their own thing, especially when it has to do with their passion, because you need money for everything. So I'm still keeping some freelance work that keep me stay afloat during the low season like that. And then after that, things will pick up again, and I can just go back and focus a little bit more into the dance.
Yeah. So with your non-passion job, I would just say that just for to distinct the two. So with your non-passion work, how do you feel about it? Is it merely a financial strategy for you, or you also love it?
Well, yes, I love it to a certain level, and I also enjoy doing that to a certain level. I believe that's the minimum requirements for every single job out there. Otherwise, it's very hard to focus, stay in a job.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of admiration for people who maintain a part-time job or even a full-time job, something non-passion, and on the side also developing or building their passion business, because that shows a lot of resilience. Because when we decide to pursue our passion, because passion is like a fire, right? When we first want to develop it, there's so much enthusiasm and so much excitement that we didn't know how to build a container to hold the fire. It just spread like wildfire and burn down everything. And that's why a lot of people just want to quit their job and jump 100% into building their passion. And also part of that is because the job that they were doing before just was so soul-sucking that they just could not continue when there is another path to do something that they love so much. I have a lot of respect for just how resilient you are to juggle these things at the same time.
Well, there's a lot of things people just like, sorry, I'm making fun of myself, like hashtag hustle, hashtag the grind never stop. But no, I'm lucky enough to be in the entrepreneurial world for a while. So I'm working with a lot of entrepreneurs, startups, and I'm lucky enough to see people fail. I learn from their lesson. So I guess that's the part where I'm lucky to not step into that path. Of course, it's really tiring in the beginning, but I guess that's how it is. If everything is super easy, then I guess everybody's doing their own thing already.
Yeah, this is really conscious, not to just stick it out no matter what, but also not to just flip the table and maintain the balance between passion and, paying the bills.